everybody. We are going to get started so that we can all get out and enjoy some sun today. I feel like I haven't seen it above freezing. You can't turn your hearing aid on. I don't like the microphone. I don't want to. I'm loud enough. Yep. As I said, my kids are out of the house now, so I need somebody to yell at, right? All right, good morning again. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to kick off hearing from Charlie. Good morning. You want to open for us? I know, it's an honor. Would you like the microphone? Can you yell?
I love the microphone. I love it.
Good morning. My name is Charlie Kimball. I'm your state representative representing Woodstock, Reading, and Plymouth. And actually today we have all three of your Windsor County senators, which I don't think has ever happened in the years I've been coming here, so that's terrific. Becca White here, Joe Major in the back, and Allison Clarkson. So just a brief update as to what's going on in Montpelier. I've really now served you in the legislature for 8 years, and in that time I've learned three things. One is that there are no new issues. They're all the same issues, and they just rise and fall depending on the sense of urgency. For instance, 8 years ago, I think we were talking about clean water and the amount of money we were going to need to spend at the state level to make sure that our waters were clean from phosphorus and nitrogen excess. That is still an issue, but it is not the top issue. The second thing I've learned is money is fungible. That means if you put a fund together and say we are only going to use this fund to pay for education or pay for retirement, then that also can be sidetracked and put somewhere else. So money is always fungible. The third thing I've learned is that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. And it is the law of unintended consequences of when you pass legislation, something else happens, and that you have to anticipate what that is so you're not harming somebody down the road that you didn't intend to. So those are the three things. In the legislature, we are trying to deal with the unfinished business from Act 73, which was the Education Transformation Bill from last year. So yet to be decided are new school districts. This has been very controversial, but a lot of what is contingent in that bill is still yet to be decided. For instance, are we going to have different tax rates for primary homeowners and secondary homeowners? That is contingent upon those new school districts. Do we set up regional assessment districts for appraising properties? Also contingent. The foundation formula in which schools know ahead of time as to how much money they're getting per student, and you know as a property taxpayer how much you are going to be on the hook for, because it's a lot easier to understand. If you can know right now how much your property tax bill is, please see me afterwards, because I'd like to know what you're doing. So that is one thing that we're really dealing with is on that issue. I know that Senator Clarkson's been working hard really to figure out what to do with the current sheriff situation in Windsor County and to try to deal with that. But please know that the legislature has very little power to help intercede with removing anybody that is an elected official. The House could actually stand up an impeachment process. We have not done that, hoping that the sheriff would find some sensible way to remove himself from active duty, which he currently is not. And Senator Clarkson can talk about that in more depth. We're also trying to figure out how much money to raise from different sources. So the property tax, and we've talked about this in the past, comprised about 63% of the education fund, and all the rest, the 37%, comes from other sources like the sales tax. But there's a lot of pressures. The transportation fund doesn't have nearly as much money as it needs or used to have because people are driving less and they're paying less in their gas taxes. They may not be driving less, but the vehicles they're driving are more fuel efficient, and they could be electric vehicles. Senator Becca White knows a lot about this. She serves on the Transportation Committee and has been dealing with this issue for years. So part of the purchase and use tax, which is paid when you buy a vehicle, 2/3 of it stays in the transportation fund and 1/3 goes into the education fund. Remember, money is fungible. So the governor would like to see all that purchase and use tax returned back to the transportation fund so that we can pull down more federal dollars. Well, that's a good idea, except that creates a hole in the education fund, which then you have to make up for somehow else. There's also the state received $195 million for rural health transformation. And this is a first of many-year program to try to improve the healthcare system throughout rural Vermont. It is not easy. These are federal dollars, and the federal government is really working very closely with our own agencies to figure out how you're going to do this. Some of it's software, some of it's primary care physicians, some of it's knowing where to actually put resources. So that is a major initiative of the state. That's a lot of money. But it's not going to lower your health care costs immediately. There are other things that can be done for that we put into place last year or set in motion. So anyway, that's a very quick update. I'm hoping to get something set up with the library as to an information session so that you can come and we can talk about everything politics at the state level, no matter are you happy, are you mad, are you sad, do you just want to know stuff? And I'd like to find that out and provide answers to you. And look for an announcement in the next couple of weeks. I know the librarian has not been has taken a little break from work, right? Did I get that right? Yeah? All right, anyway. So trying to get that set up in the next couple of weeks. The legislature is 8 weeks into an 18-week session. So we have 10 more weeks in which to get all of the work done that we're working on now. It's a sprint at this point. There's no clear path on where some of those issues will end up. So with that, Raina, should we answer questions? Do you want the senators to speak?
Sure. If the audience has any questions.
Should we wait until we're all done and then all of us can?
Let's do that. Let the senators speak, and then we'll go from there. How about that? Is that okay with you guys? Yeah. Sounds good. Actually, Senator Clarkson, Senator White, why don't we all come up together? I think that's probably best.
I was going to film.
You're going to film? You can have someone else film. Look at all these people. Look at all these people. Plus we have someone here. There, see, you have a volunteer. This is Vermont for you. Everybody helps out.
I can lean on you.
Well, I will say thank you, Charlie, because one of the things that for politicians, they always, talk quite a bit, and so you pretty much took all of our thunder. But obviously, the first and foremost, the thing that are on most people's mind, and Charlie touched on it just a little bit. My name is Senator Joe Major. We have Senator Becca White and our senior senator, Allison Clarkson. The thing probably most of you are talking about, and Charlie talked about it at the top of his, is Act 73. It's the Educational Transformational Bill. I will say there two things about that. The House and the Senate are differing on two kind of key things concerning it. The House wants forced consolidation, and this is proposals, by the way. Forced consolidations, and also they are advocating for school choice. The Senate currently, and we're still working through this, is working through optional or consolidation and they want school choice. Those are two major factors right now that both bodies are working through. I will say about Act 73, you see your three senators actually voted against Act 73, but we will work through it. This is what we have right now, and I think that we have to come to some kind of resolution because our property taxes are continually growing, our students are getting smaller and smaller, and we have to be able to fund our schools as well as being able to have a quality education and your property taxes be reasonable, which right now they are not. So we're working through those things exponentially. Charlie also mentioned our sheriff. I want to say a thing, and Senator Clarkson has been working diligently in trying to put this message out. The actual sheriff is not the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department is still running, is still functioning, is still doing its job, it's still creating public safety. One of the things that we kind of do is we see the face of an entity and we think that face of the entity is the entity, and that is not the case. And so the sheriff's department is still functioning, it's still providing the public safety and service that you so actually need. And so I said that I wouldn't be so verbose, but like I said, I'm a politician, so I kind of went on with that. And I'm going to hand the mic over to Senator White to say a few words as well.
Yep. I'm not going to say anything other than if you have roads and bridges related transportation questions, feel free to talk to me, and then Senator Clarkson.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's always such a pleasure to be in Reading. I'm going to stick to this because I'm just going to sort of stick to what I wanted to say, which is, town meeting is a time for us to celebrate our municipal life together. And we really appreciate you welcoming us, your state partners, into your town meeting. Thank you. We work closely together with our towns to improve lives for Vermont and Vermonters, and so we appreciate you hearing from us. I'm Allison Clarkson. I have had the honor of serving you first in the House for 12 years and then now in the Senate for 10. I serve you as the chair of Senate Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs, and along with Becca on Senate Government Operations. We're here to share that even though our world may be full of uncertainty, Vermont is stable. Vermont is stable, and your legislature is and continues to be very functional. We have a lot of challenges, there's no question, but I am certain we will navigate them in a civil and productive fashion. This year, we are really most focused on four things, I would say. Vermonters' civil liberties and civil rights, protecting Vermonters from federal budget cuts, which you've already read lots about when we've dealt with SNAP, working hard to keep Vermont an affordable place to live, working to ensure that Vermont has a sustainable public education system which is sustainably funded, and working every day in our committees. That takes up most of our time during the session. As Charlie alluded to, we're only 8 weeks into an 18-week session, so it would be foolish for us to say, oh, we've come here and we've done this and this and this. We haven't. What we have managed to do is get a few bills from one chamber to the other for consideration. As you know, they have to be passed by both chambers. But our work is a work in progress. We're making progress on expanding access to primary care, building more housing, re-envisioning our education delivery system, reducing property taxes, expanding our workforce, protecting our privacy, our data privacy and genetic privacy, and trying to reduce the gap in the transportation fund, which is $33 million, which affects every road and bridge in this state. Some of my committee work, which I'm working on, is trying to build more housing with less money, consumer protection, and economic development, shoring up the resources for our small businesses in particular this year, and protecting our genetic and data privacy. This is a big piece of work that the Senate and House are working on together. And in government operations, we're working on a very exciting regional law enforcement pilot, which I know we're very interested in this area too, but we're starting it in Windham County. And it's very exciting trying to figure out, because we have no equity or access in law enforcement. It is a poorly distributed system. I've had too many domestic violence situations in my experience as a legislator, and it takes the Vermont State Police too long to get to Plymouth. It takes them too long to get down to Cavendish. We need a better way to deliver law enforcement in a way that our citizens expect it's going to be delivered. So so that's one of the things that we're also working to strengthen our protections in a voting rights bill. So many issues are being addressed in all the different committees. All of us are grappling with the tough reality that money is very tight this year, which doesn't mean that our needs have evaporated. In a very tight budget year, we face the perennial challenge of how to pay for all the good things Vermonters want and need. So I'm going to take a moment. What we do in the State House is we say, may I speak on a point of personal privilege. So I'm asking you to speak on a point of personal privilege, and I'm going to cry. Okay. After 22 years in the legislature, I have made the decision to retire. Some of you may not be sad, but I am. Serving you has been the honor of a lifetime. Thank you. Thank you for sending me to Montpelier to represent you and to advocate for you. Thank you for trusting me to make decisions on your behalf. This sciatica is killing me. Thank you. Thank you for the gift, mostly thank you for the gift of getting to know you. The impressive people of Reading and Windsor County, but Reading in particular, a few of you were there. My first political adventure introducing myself was in Reading in 2004 at Tina Miller's house, which is now part of the Hall Art Foundation. Well, actually, Andy owned it then too, but he let Tina live there. So thank you for getting to know you. I've loved it. Thank you, and getting to know and appreciate each town's idiosyncrasies, and getting to know the many glories of this remarkable state that we're lucky enough to live in. Never forget how lucky we are to live here. But I am ready for new adventure. Vermont is full of opportunities and needs, and I'm ready to focus on some of those. I've treasured my time in the legislature. I've really treasured it. Thank you all for the opportunity to serve you. It's an honor and a privilege that I never forget. And I'm appreciative for all of it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get started through the articles. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions and have discussions about each article. Just a reminder, please state your name and where you're from. If you are not a Reading resident, just please help us understand what your connection is to the reason that you're commenting or asking a question. Ready? All right. We're going to start with Article 1, to elect the following town officers for the ensuing year. Town moderator, 1 year. Town clerk, 3 year. Town treasurer, 3 year. Select person, 3 year. Trustee of public funds, 3 years. Lost my place. Cemetery commission, 3 year. Library trustee, 5 years. Library trustee, 1 year. Library trustee, 2 year. Do we have any questions or comments on Article 1? Yes.
Esther Allen, few of you know me. I know a few of you. I just want to quickly run down through the town moderator. We do do not have anyone running for that position. Town Treasurer, Krista Brennan is running. Trustee of Public Funds, Kurt Allen is running. Cemetery Commissioner, we do not have anyone running for that position. Library Trustee for 1 year is Rich Grogan. For Town Clerk, Krista Brennan is running. For Select Person, Michael Sanderson is running. For Trustee of Public Funds for a 2-year term, no one is running. For Library Trustee for a 5-year term is Libet Downs. For Library Trustee, 2-year term is Kristen Hurd. Just so that you know what positions have names and what positions don't. Are there any candidates that would like to speak?
Hi, go ahead. Thank you for standing up. I did not see your hand.
Yes. Should I come up here?
Yes.
Sure. Unless you can yell really loud.
Hi. Good morning. My name's Mike Sanderson. I've been a resident here for 43 years. Growing up here, I had grandparents, aunt and uncles, parents. I have 2 kids in the community that go to the school here. I would like to run and serve you the best of my ability to help the community make decisions and moving forward in giving information and just trying to help the community the best I can. We're filling a void with Bob Hartnett leaving. I appreciate the conversations that I've had with him and Lisa and Robert over the past couple weeks, giving me advice and telling me what is involved with this position. I don't know totally what I'm getting into, but no, I don't. But I do want to learn. This is something that means a lot to me. I want to learn from their experience how to help the town and make the community grow with whatever I can. I appreciate everybody for coming out today, and hopefully can serve you to the best of my ability. Thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions or comments?
I just want to point out, as you said, nobody's running for moderator. That's not technically true, just because you didn't get her signature.
Slackers.
Somebody is running for moderator. Find her name right at the top. Can, so that you get it spelled correctly when you write it in. It's Raina Bishop. So that when the Board of Civil Authority counts votes on Tuesday, we'll be able to tell who we ought to put in there as the next moderator. So don't forget, right, Tim? Raina's running for moderator. She needs the job, so let's get her elected.
I'll write you in, okay? Thanks, John. All right, anything else? Hi.
Adam Kozlowski, I'm the current chair of the Cemetery Commission. Just wanted to first acknowledge Tim, and he's leaving his slot. Appreciate your time that you spent with us. I also wanted to say if anybody has interest in the town cemeteries as a resource, we've been putting a lot of energy into maintaining them as much as we can. It's certainly had its challenges, but it's been a fun job. Susan Goodhouse and I have been on the commission now for 10, 12 years, and would certainly welcome any other person's interest. If you have some questions about what it means to be on the Cemetery Commission, please approach me after the meeting. I'm happy to answer questions or the sewage fears. Yeah, and at that point, gather some friends and family to write your name in. So I appreciate it very much.
Yes.
I'm Jane Parch, spearheading this year the Fall Festival, and I would like everyone to know that it's coming back. It'll be October 3rd, bigger and better than ever.
I'm sorry, I don't like to be rude and interrupt people, so my apologies. However, it is about the article, yeah. All right, do we have any other questions or comments about Article 1? Okay, seeing none, we'll be moving along to Article 2. Shall the voters set the date and time by which the town property taxes must be paid and received by the town treasurer to be Wednesday, November 4th, 2026 by 4 p.m. with no discount for payment in advance. Postmarks are not accepted as timely payment, so payments received after 4 p.m. will incur penalty and interest. Do we have any questions or comments about Article 2? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to Article 3. Shall the voters elect the town treasurer as collector of delinquent taxes for the ensuing year? Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Article 4. Shall the voters of the town of Reading vote to appropriate the amount of $796,270 to be raised by taxes for the Select Board's budget beginning July 1, 2026? Any questions or comments on the budget? Any comments? Any questions? Nothing. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to Article 5. Shall the voters of the town of Reading authorize the Select Board to appoint a town treasurer as provided in 17 VSA Section 2651F? Sorry, I need stronger glasses. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Oh, yes.
We're electing a treasurer and hoping to appoint a treasurer. If you could just comment a little bit about what's behind that, just so we understand.
Yeah, one of the reasons that
Do you want
we're doing this
microphone?
is, speak up. Sounds loud to me. I got my hearing aids in, so I can hear myself speak. We have been having problems in Reading for some time getting people to fill positions. As Esther got up and mentioned, we still have some open coming up this year for elected positions that the Select Board will try to find someone to appoint after Tuesday, if no write-in gets the required number of ballots. So with that, we have become very concerned about the town clerk and town treasurer's position. And because the state of Vermont and all of the other entities are requesting more and more information must be done online. They don't even give you a choice anymore. You have to do this online. It's different than it was when there was a file cabinet in the town clerk's office or the treasurer's office, and you could go in there and pull out 3x5 pieces of paper and see what was going on. So we got concerned that Callista decides to retire, just anybody could petition to run, or nobody, and then you would have a situation where you might have a candidate or a person get the write-in votes to be elected and have no experience whatsoever. That is gone, the clerk's position has gone beyond that point. You've got to have some experience in computers, you've got to have some experience in finances, you've got to have some experience in working online with documents that are either fillable or not fillable. So we got concerned. So the reason she's running is in case one or both of these articles do not pass. So if they don't pass, that would leave us with no clerk or treasurer. She runs, if she gets elected, she will be in the position up to 45 days. Within 45 days, we have to have hired a person for that position. So it may be temporary, it may not. It'll depend on how the votes go on these two articles for clerk and treasurer. If they pass, we'll go with that route. If they don't pass, we have a clerk and treasurer.
Robert, could you just speak to clarifying the word appoint? Does that specifically mean that the select board makes a decision unilaterally, or will there be an interview process of vetting of some kind?
There will be an interview process if we have more than one qualified candidate, obviously. I think appoint might be the wrong word because it's more hire than appoint. So,
I
but
appreciate that
that's the
clarification.
way it's going to work.
Robert, I'm familiar with the statute, but I haven't read it recently.
What's
Does
that?
it
Excuse-
allow for more than 1 year appointment? And does it allow for an extended contract with that person?
It does.
To act in that capacity unless removed for cause?
It does, and last year we did the same thing with the lister. John is considering another year at least, but he's also considering retirement before the end of that year. So I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but that's what he said. So that's where we stand there. If he decides to retire, we will then post the job and see if we can find an assessor. It would be the same with a clerk and treasurer. I don't think this is a yearly appointment. I think this is something you hire somebody for, and they would be there until we decided or they decided that's enough. Anything else?
Esther Allen again. The term appointment is the way the statutes in Vermont say it has to be written, so that's why.
Okay, any other questions or comments on Article 5?
I just have one question.
Yes.
If they appoint or hire someone for that town clerk's position, is that for that term, like 3-year term or whatever, or is that yearly? Or until the town, like say someone from town decides after this person's in for a few months, hey, I'd like to have that position. Maybe I'll run at town meeting Australian ballot next year. So they could run against the person who was just hired? No?
If these two articles pass, it'll come back to the select board to make any changes. It will not be put to the voters as an elected position.
Okay.
All right, seeing no more questions, Article 6. Shall the voters of the town of Reading authorize the select board to appoint a town clerk as provided in 17 VSA section 2651E? Mr. Allen just covered that when he covered Article 5. Do we have any further questions? All right, seeing none, Article 7. Shall the voters appropriate $1,000 to Aging in Place, Reading, West Windsor for localized elder care? Do we have any questions about that? Yes.
I'm Aaron Franklin. Good to meet everybody. I just would appreciate if someone could speak to how the Article 7 through 13 get on the agenda and whether the select board has a view on whether these are good things, whether it makes sense, or if these are just petitions. I don't really know. Maybe other people know these are providing value, but just curious if someone could explain the process and any views from the elected folks here.
Esther Allen again, I'll answer that question. Anybody else popped up? The people or the businesses that are looking to get money from the town have to solicit, they give us a letter of request, and they have to get a petition with so many signatures based on the amount of voters that we have. We have to have that. And then these questions are put to the voters to make the decisions as to whether we want to fund their request or not. That's how that process works. Does that help?
Yep, so there's no like official town view on these are good ideas, it's purely just a petition.
This is purely a petition function. Yeah. If they get enough signatures and present the letter, do the request, they can put it in.
Yes, Lisa?
I just want to clarify, they're not businesses, they're almost all nonprofits.
Well, yes, sorry.
Yes.
Sarah Corris, nice to see you all. I guess I just want to ask, are these specific to Reading, these nonprofits? Is there any way to know if if people of Reading are actually using these services? Is it more for the broader area?
I can answer that they are definitely the broader area as well. They do get on other town ballots as well.
Okay.
But as far as us,
Is there like a breakdown?
yeah. She was, but if you would like to.
I think to overrun the select board.
one handling the process.
Yeah, that's why I'm speaking to it, because I get involved in this. If you look on page 53 and beyond, each nonprofit that has requested funds from the town has an article or a note in here about what they do, and most of them typically have in there how many people they serve in our community, and how it helps them to get the money.
Hi, yes.
Sarah, having been the director of one of the nonprofit organizations in the community in the past, I can tell you the inside pool on generally how this is done is that an organization that has to raise most of its funds through philanthropy may set a target for how much money it hopes to raise through community, through town participation, and then they'll take that amount of money and then figure out what the percentage of the people are from that town that are being served by the organization, and then set a figure, which is why we end up with a number like 707 as opposed to $700 or $750 for one of the organizations. So it's usually a formula like that an organization would use in sending its request to a town.
Answered your question? Okay. Do we have any other questions or comments on Article 7? A lot of comments, but not on Article 7. Okay, moving on. Article 8, shall the voters appropriate $707 to HCRS, Healthcare and Rehabilitation Services, for providing mental health services? Any questions on that article? Okay, seeing none. Article 9, shall the voters appropriate $1,000 to Ottaquechee Health Foundation for health and wellness services? Questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Article 10, shall the voters appropriate $1,000 to Senior Solutions for health and wellness services? Okay, no questions or comments. Article 11, shall the voters appropriate $750 to Spectrum Teen Center for connecting teens to the community? Okay, seeing no questions or comments. Article 12, shall the voters appropriate $1,500 to Windsor County Mentors for youth mentorships? No questions or comments. Article 13, shall the voters appropriate $300 to WISE for programs that provide crisis advocacy?
What does WISE stand for?
Women's Information Services.
I didn't see it.
May I speak
Yes,
again?
yes.
So WISE, when it was founded back in the early 1970s, was called Women in Service to Each Other. And they just dropped the other, so Women in Service to Each became WISE. But they've dropped the words and have just called themselves WISE for about 15 years now.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Before I do, no motion.
Before you do that, I think we have some people that would like to address the audience on a couple of things that are going on in town. You want to do that?
Is that in relation to this meeting and these articles, or is this not? So should we adjourn this meeting then, because that is not relative to what the meeting is about? And then you're welcome to stay and discuss other things?
That's the problem last year, we tried to do that.
Madam Moderator, I move that we suspend the rules and allow these this information to be imparted to us, because if we leave here today without that information, we're going to be done with it.
Sounds good. Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor of suspending the rules? Say aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none. Rules are suspended. Who would like to? Marie.
Hi, everybody. My name's Marie Anderson. I've been the green coordinator in Reading for 20 some odd years. I don't know the number, but it's early. People keep green up, but I'm here and get encouraged by the state to set out a poster and a sign-up sheet on the table. And I'd like to just encourage everybody, if you already know that you want to claim your road as your cleanup territory for May 2nd, the first Saturday in May, you're welcome to do that today. I won't have any cleanup bags for you until about 2 weeks before May 2nd. For those of you that have been around for a long time, you know that there will be in usual locations, the town hall, the Reading greenhouse, and here in the school. And again, I'll be in front of the town hall on May 2nd to hand out bags, and if you want to come and say hello, you're welcome to greet you and encourage you for Happy Green Up Day and so forth. So, but look for more information in the Informer. Thank you for your opinion, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Lisa Sylvester, if you don't know me, and
Lisa, please stand up and then the microphone.
I thought I was loud enough. Lisa Sylvester, if you have been attending the select board meetings or reading the Informer recently, you know that there's been a lot of conversation regarding replacing our town garage and trying to protect our investment in our road crews fleet and all of our tax dollars. We are starting to take a look at options as to what that may be, whether it's through grant funding, different sorts of building materials. That'll be an ongoing process over the next several months. We are going to be starting to schedule some tours of the garage so people can get up there, meet the road crew, as well as see the challenges that they're facing. So keep an eye out for the front porch forum, and you'll know when those are happening. We've also created a very short one-page informational sheet, which is on the back table, that you could grab on your way out. So you'll know what we're up to, and we're going to keep everybody up to speed as we go along. That's it. Yes.
We're going to stand up front.
Absolutely.
Good morning. My name is Ann Kobolensky-Sanderson.
And I'm Jessica White.
We're both Reading residents and parents of kids in our school district, and we're also both active in the Woodstock Rebuild, High School, Middle School Rebuild Committee. We are here to make sure you guys are aware of what's going on. And I have, we wanted our chair to come, Seth Webb, but he is in Woodstock at their town meeting. So we're just going to go over the kind of the quick points about Article 4 on the Mountain View's Supervisory Union ballot. So this is for the bond to rebuild the Woodstock Union Middle School and High School. As you probably are aware, 2 years ago there was a bond that was presented and did not pass by about 10%. A lot of people said that the reason they voted no was the cost. To address those concerns, the school board developed a new plan that reduces the local share of the bond by about $15 million compared to the 2024 proposal. The ballot question, Article 4, is structured so that it requires 2 major expense reductions to be in place before the school board can issue any debt. First, the school has to secure at least 25% of the cost from the state, federal, or private sources. And the second is that the Vermont legislature has to remove the current penalty on construction debt. Article 4 is pretty clear. The rebuild will not happen unless both of those things are met before the debt is issued. These contingencies, along with some of the cuts to the original plan, will ensure the lowest possible cost to voters. The alternative to a rebuild is to renovate, and that has been found to be much more expensive, partially because we are not eligible for state aid if we opt to renovate. It also means that students would be in the school while it's being renovated, whereas the rebuild plan, the students would stay in the current building while the new building is being built. This would be a lot less disruptive to the students. So a no vote, as I said, we're not eligible for state aid, and we also risk losing our school. The high school is one of the worst in the state. It has depreciated at least 96% of its value, and it is, I mean, it's being held together by, as I was saying earlier, duct tape and a prayer. It's, Joe Rigoli should get a raise. He is really keeping that building running, but it's every day it feels like it's falling apart. There have been stories of sewage backing up into the cafeteria and the girls' locker room during a game. There's classrooms that aren't heated properly or they're really hot, which isn't a great learning environment for our students. And even with that learning environment, they're doing great. So imagine what they could do with a new school.
And I was just gonna say that
No, go for it.
We have to vote on like the total cost of the bond, which is unfortunately a little bit of a higher number than the last time, so it's like seems confusing. But they ultimately have reduced the cost by going back in, taking out certain, bells and whistles like the geothermal, etc. They had the builder redesign it, reassess it, so that ultimately between those reductions and with a 25% match from the state, which is supposedly coming to fruition this summer, we would pay a total cost that is lower than the previous bond. We have to pass and we have to legally vote as towns on the total number before the state will approve their match. So we have to as a community say we want this school, we think this is important enough, and vote on that number before the state will say, okay, you guys want your school bad enough to vote on this higher number, we will give you this money. And, they could give us up to 40%. I mean, who doesn't want to wish for the moon?
Yeah.
But we made or I shouldn't say we, but Seth Webb and the group, they made it so that it would be a 25% match.
And the school board.
And the school board, correct. And then we won't, unless we get that money, then they won't issue the debt and the school won't get rebuilt. So, but we have to vote on that total cost. It's a little, I find it a little confusing, so hopefully.
Yep, and on the actual ballot, it's 111 million is the number you'll see, and then the town would be responsible for 84 million, or even less than that, depending on how the funding works out. Right now, there's been a really big push for private donations, and we're up to 4.25 million in pledged donations to rebuild.
I wanted to ask the legislatures when you're here, but we didn't have a question answer thing. So the thing I'm concerned about this whole thing is the legislature don't even know where they're going to get the money for education from. They don't know what districts are going to be consolidated, and it's like we're only talking about Woodstock School. How about if they decide more of a central Vermont big school to take in more towns because there's lesser students? It just seems that there's so much up in the air, and all you're saying about the state going to do this for all this, that's almost like a pie in the sky.
It is a pie in the sky, but if they don't do it,
well,
then
in the
we don't
meantime,
know
they still do have a school.
Yeah.
And there's many schools that are suffering right now because of when they were built during your time. And they're all looking to eventually rebuild. But in this time of uncertainty, it seems to me that we're banking on the state. If we say yes, they're going to come forth and bail us out the rest of the way, which I don't have much trust in that.
So with the redistricting that I think you're referring to the Act 73 potential redistricting.
But we don't even know about that either.
Right.
Because
So
they might decide a different location besides Woodstock.
If there's a new school, though, the chances of that happening. Well, the chances of that happening go down because they've already contributed. We also have a pre-approval plan that a lot of the other schools don't have yet this point.
But when they did the restriction, when all these schools went to Woodstock, because that was the place that Woodstock said, come to us, and now all of a sudden the schools is the worst it's ever been. So it's like, okay, before, they were going okay. And same's going on in South Rockland, where I went to school. A lot of schools, they consolidated to South Rockland. Now they need to build they want to build a new school. So, I don't know, my head's great about it.
So my question to you is, what's the plan if we don't rebuild?
I just told you, right now, in the meantime,
And
they
if-
keep going,
Yep.
but we gotta figure out what the legislature's gonna do with this whole school business. They're still, and that's another thing that gets me. You read in the paper, all these little bills are coming out of the legislature. I wish you would hear more about what they're doing about the major problems that are being, as they say, kicked down the road. But
I think this is our way to take control of it, to be honest, as towns, as people who live in the community. And I hear what you're saying too, because it feels like we don't have any control over it, because we're just waiting for them to figure it out. But if we don't, like, say, like, we're part of, like, we want this community to succeed, like, then we're gonna really just let them figure it out for us. And they can decide to.
And in the meantime, the likelihood that the school will fail, that the building just stops being usable is pretty high. And then what?
Well, I know John wants to say something too, but if we have to keep renovating, it's like every year, it's like now we're dumping, we have to fix the septic system, we have to put money into
the
a
boiler.
new boiler, which is obviously a lot less money than a full rebuild, but it's like our taxes go up this year because now we have to this, and then next year we don't know what's gonna fail on it next, and then we're gonna have to put money into that. Plus, we're getting penalized, for going over budget because we have to renovate these things just to keep it operational.
Not cutting the big short, but,
Yeah.
I better go see my place.
Yeah, it's.
With all due respect to my neighbor Steve, if we wait for the legislature to get their act together, I'm not gonna live on this. We are, 40 years ago, the town made a decision to go with the Woodstock Supervisory Union rather than to farm our kids out to whatever school we want. We
That
locked
would be the
ourselves into
Windsor
that
Central
about
Supervisory Union. We are not Woodstock. We are a supervisory union. It's
Yeah,
Windsor
no,
Central,
we had
not the
no-
Woodstock Supervisory
back in
Union.
the 80s that said, we're gonna tie ourselves to whatever Woodstock is doing. Good or bad, we made that decision 40 years ago, and we've had to live with it.
But also too, the
The
Woodstock.
other thing is, too, that we've heard the debates, we've read the reports, we know what the situation is with the school. We can wait for the legislature to decide what they're gonna do for districts. The chances of the legislature then voting to do away with a new high school and consolidate with, for instance, Hartford, and make us send everybody to Hartford, would be pretty small if we had a brand-new functioning school for the middle and high school students. If we kick the can down the road, and we've got a school building up there that has massive structural integrity problems, the chances of the legislature saying, send your kids somewhere else, would be much higher. So I'm not advocating necessarily that we spend $111 million for a new building. I don't like paying taxes any more than Steve does, or anybody else in here, but sometimes we have to bite the bullet and make hard decisions and ensure that our children, some of whom are here today, that would benefit from a new school system, a new school building up there. We'll see what happens. Question.
Yes.
In the past, the vote on school issues of this nature have required that all votes from all 6 towns be combined and go into a room, and then I don't know who counts the ballots. but
You're looking at her.
You count
I am your school district clerk. I will be counting the
You
ballots.
count them individually all by yourself?
I will have boards of civil authority reps with me.
Really?
Correct.
Oh, you've got a lot of power. Or does it vote, each town counts their own ballots on this issue alone? And that all 6 towns have to have adopted the article in order for it to pass?
Repeat that. You were on one track and then you
Are we gonna vote on this and have 6 different towns vote and
each town.
individually and pass it or not pass it? Or are we gonna, on Tuesday, have Felicity send all of our ballots to your house and have you, all
Yes.
your helpers?
Yes, so you will receive 4 school district ballots. One is the ballot with all of your typical annual stuff, the budget, electing your school district moderator, your school district treasurer, that's one ballot. All of the bond ballots are separate, so you'll have 3 separate bond ballots, and those are commingled. They follow a different statutory requirement, so those will all be brought to one central location. Towns may not count them individually, and they will be commingled, and we will count them as a group. So you will have one result, not individual town results.
Thank you for clarifying the question, not to count our votes.
The checkered shirt back there.
Both a comment and a question. The comment is, you said that we had one of the worst high schools in the state. I would argue that we have one of the best high schools in one of the worst buildings.
Yes. Thank you for clarification. Yes.
Despite the fact that we have a very high-performing school. The question I have is, if the bonds were to fail, there's an alternative of all the costs of renovation. How are the costs of those renovations passed on to us?
Those are more further bonds. Those are some of the other bonds that we're voting on are some of the costs to fix. So I think Articles 2 and 3, if I'm not mistaken, are for asking for a smaller bond to replace the boiler and a smaller bond to replace the sewage, the sewer system, to fix the sewer system. So it'd be more voting, more bonds.
So through voting piecemeal as we keep on facing.
Yep, or eventually another bond vote. And we, I think somebody said, we just keep kicking the can down the road. Yes, Gina?
And what I can tell you too is when you do a comparison, the cost of renovation over time is 20% higher than the cost of the school being rebuilt. And another thing I need to remind you is that when you take the 25% of state aid and private donations, and also the decoupling of per pupil spend to capital debt, which is before the legislature right now, the cost that you're really going to be paying for is $84 million, or 15% less than what you paid for, or what was proposed in 2024. And the only reason we can't put that up as 84 million is because the state requires that we bond for the total amount. So there you got it. But another thing I think I'd like to mention too is there's a lot going on beyond what we're doing to build a new high school to make our district stronger. And one of the things is that, as you quite rightly said, we are one of the best regional hub schools in the state. Our scores, and if you go on our website and look at We Are Mountain View's supervisory union, you can find that we have improved year on year to an extent that makes us a real beacon on the hill as far as education goes. We're also doing different things, like to put downward pressure on costs. We were the founding member of the first board of Collaborative Educational Services, or BOCES. This is allowing us to join with 8 other towns to go out and purchase services as a group. And that includes special ed, transportation, and everything else you can think of. So we are actually leading the way in reform while the government works its way through defining Act 73, which, as Representative Kimball would agree if he were here, is one of the least defined pieces of legislation in the history of our state. It's full of blank holes. So we are actively working on the quality of our education. We're actively pushing down on prices across the board of the services we buy, while we're trying to build a high school that's so cleverly designed that we literally worked about
$1 million out of the cost from the original design, and which has the capacity to add a floor in the future if we need it for more students. So it's a three-pronged initiative, and I think our supervisory union is doing a stellar job of staying out in front of a very undefined and very perilous situation right now.
Sarah?
I'd like to, I'm Sarah Kulinski, I'd like to make 3 quick points. One is on that bond about the boilers. In listening to the budget information meeting with the supervisory union on Thursday night, Jim Fenn, the business manager for the supervisory union, and Joe Rigoli were talking about the fact that if the school is rebuilt, those boilers will still have lifetime left to them, but the boilers in others of the buildings, elementary school buildings, will have reached their life expectancy. Those boilers will be able to be reused in another building in the district. So that one particular investment has a future pathway to it if this bond passes. I know questions have come up about the interest on bonding. There's always interest that you pay when you borrow money, whether you're borrowing from a bond or any other vehicle. And they pointed out that until the moment, they can't talk about what the interest is because until the moment that the bond is sold, you don't know what the interest rate is going to be on it. So it all depends on how the bond market is working on that particular day and then you've got to have people that are knowledgeable about how to work within the bond market to get the best kind of rates. But yeah, there's always going to be interest. So that was the second point that had come up. The third point that had come up is people had questions about what happens if the state does divide up this supervisory union and Reading kids are not, if Reading is not part of the union with Woodstock and we've invested in the school, then we no longer have a responsibility as Reading for continuing on payment on that. If we are taken out of that district, that becomes no longer our responsibility. Thank you.
Jane?
I just have 3 logistical questions. First, say it passes, when would construction start?
I believe it would be in the next year. I'm trying to remember back. They have to get all of the contracts and all of that done. We haven't done that piece of it because we don't have the bond. We don't have the approval yet. I believe the goal was to have it finished by the start of the 29-30 school year.
So in those 4 years or whatever it takes, you still have to do the repairs to the building?
Correct. We still have to make sure that the Woodstock.
That money still has to come out?
Yeah.
The third question is, I know they're putting the building on the football field.
Yep.
So is money to replace the athletic field?
That's built into the 111. So that $111 million total is not only the new building, but it's to remove the old building, including whatever asbestos abatement or PCBs or whatever chemicals are found in that building, as well as rebuilding the sports fields on the site of the old school.
The original building's from 1958.
So yeah, there's a lot of nasty stuff in there.
And you had a third.
I think that was
So
the
all
third
the new building will be going on
where
away from the kids that are in session now?
correct. It would be kind of it would be adjacent to it, but not in the same.
And the $3 million that's already been contributed from personal donors?
Yep, 4.25.
Has that actually been given or just pledged?
Currently pledged, but it's including a $1.5 million match from Max Common. Is that? Gina might have some more to this too.
Only if they rebuild the school.
Correct. We don't get that money.
They can't use that money for
renovation, no.
For like putting into to get interest to help pay for some of these bonds.
Not currently. Maybe that's a possibility if the bond doesn't pass, but we're really hoping the bond passes.
Yeah, that's not on the table, and the state money wouldn't be on the table for
Correct.
renovation. Gina.
Gina, yep.
By the way, I'm Gina McAllister.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
one
he
of
wants
the
to do it.
board member on the school board. There's a story in the Valley News this morning based on a release we issued yesterday announcing that we have amassed $4.25 million in private funds, and one of those is a $1.5 million challenge grant. And of course, if there's no school, there's nothing to grant towards, right? But if we do get the bond passed, that would mean that we could raise on that challenge grant a total of $5.75 million against what we need to make up that 25% that we have to proceed forward with the school. So hope that helps. And by the way, if anybody's interested in sort of a quick summary of what's going into the bond, if you want a side-by-side comparison of renovate versus rebuild, I have those for you here, and I'll stand here quietly and just come get a copy.
You probably also received it in the mail.
Yeah.
Just check your mail. There's multiple things out there. We just want to make sure you know. And did you have one more question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, Tim Bishop, I just wanted to make a comment that the state has put a percentage in there that they're going to put towards this new bill if it passes. If it doesn't pass, that's gone. But to Steve's point, if they don't vote this in, I mean, it's a fail-safe.
Right.
I mean, if you vote yes, and that money does not come to the town or to the bill, then we have lost nothing.
Correct.
So, in my mind, it's a no-brainer just to vote yes and make sure that this all plays out the way it should.
Yeah.
And the redistricting, they would not invest that kind of money into this new bill if they were not going to look at that as part of the district for our kids. So, I mean, that's how I look at it.
Yeah. And I'm just going to finish this up with, either way, this is expensive. It's either an expensive rebuild or an expensive renovation or expensive going to another town. So why not keep it a little bit less and within our control and create a really awesome school for our kids and have growth in our area for the future rather than hoping that this school lasts longer and then closing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Did you say one more thing?
Just very briefly, everyone, please thank the Reading Rec Committee for providing us with breakfast.
All right, John is raising his hand and looking at me, so I'm guessing we're...
Moderator, I move that we unsuspend the rules.
There we go. Before that motion gets a second, we do have a contested school board seat, and since we heard from one person who is running as a candidate, would we like to hear from the other one?
Yes. I've been working for you guys since June. I was appointed your school board representative then. And since then, I've been unanimously elected to be the communications chair. I have a unique set of attributes. I bring 30 years of public relations from IBM and United Technologies I don't have a kid in school, I don't have a horse in the race, I can be objective. I find that there are issues around the claims, that there are issues of equity, and I'm gonna post those later today. What I've done is I've got things going for you, a communications program that will continue to address the rebuild, continue to address Act 73, continue to address the needs of this school, because the needs of this school are tied to the future of that high school, which is one of the most excellent in the state. So what I'm asking you guys to do is I've put in dozens and dozens and scores of hours to benefit this supervisory district. And what I'm asking for is, will you please give me your vote so I can keep on keeping on, helping you for Reading. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we have an open motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, hold on. We have an open motion, so all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the rules are no longer suspended. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Let them talk first.
Well, since the rules have now been, the suspension is now over, we need to adjourn the meeting, and then they're welcome to speak if you want to hang around for another few seconds.
Second.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.